Flasks are consumable items which can be crafted at an imbuing station. Each are created with a range of unique ingredients and provide a buff or effect to the player's melee attacks. You've probably used the Flask of Ichor or of Cursed Flames within your playthroughs, as they are extremely effective and well known. But did you know there are 3 other flasks which are very rarely talked about despite their very interesting effects? Today, we're going to be looking at 3 flasks in particular and how they can be utilised in different scenarios, whether that be for awesome visuals or a new effective strategy. Let's jump into it. The first flask I'd like to look at is the Flask of Gold. It can be very easily crafted with only 5 gold dust which can be bought from the merchant for cheap. The effect is pretty self-explanatory. It yields you more gold on an enemy's death, bearing that you've killed them with melee damage. This is seriously something I wish I knew about earlier, as it can increase the amount an enemy drops by 50%. Here you see me kill a regular mimic without the effect on. It drops me a generous 23 gold. However, after drinking the flask and killing the same enemy, I got a massive 56 gold. I've never seen an enemy drop this much gold before in my life. To take this to the next level, I equipped a greedy ring and battled a pirate invasion. As you can see, this is unreal. Even though I'm using a zenith, just look at the rate of coins coming in. In less than 30 seconds I managed to get over 1 platinum. Moving on, let's take a look at the next flask, the Flask of Nanites. This is really an odd one. I didn't even know this existed until I started researching for this video. It's crafted with 5 nanites which are purchased from the cyborg for cheap. When drank, it causes your melee attacks to inflict confusion for a few seconds on the enemy. This can be useful for crowd control and keeping enemies far away. Unfortunately though, with 70% of Terraria enemies immune to this debuff, including bosses, it's not very useful. As you can see here, during a solar eclipse, a handful of enemies aren't being affected by the debuff. My theory is that confusion can only be inflicted to enemies with a brain, meaning ghosts and machines are unaffected. Let me know what you think about this. The final flask I'd like to look at is the Flask of Party. This has to be my favourite, even though it doesn't have any practical use. It can be crafted with 5 confetti which can be bought from the party girl for a cheap price. When drank, melee attacks will give off large explosions of confetti around the target. This doesn't change depending on your damage, it only matters if you hit them or not. This doesn't seem to have any cooldown or hard limit, as you can have a pretty crazy amount on screen at once. This is what 50 mummies versus the zenith looks like. Pretty insane, right? But I think we can do better. How about a load of target dummies? If you've got an old PC or laptop, I'd highly recommend not doing this as it might just explode. Do you think these flasks get the recognition they deserve? I rarely hear of anyone utilising them. It's also worth noting that these flasks have ranged variants in the form of bullets, which have a very similar effect and crafting recipe. What do you think? Are you going to craft any of these or stick with the old trusty overpowered Flask of Ichor? Thanks for watching. For more Terraria content like this, drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.